Hello and welcome to installment 3 or intro session 3 of psychosomatic therapy, what we're calling sovereign body language series. Hi, Natalie. Hi, everybody. Super happy to have everybody here. And we're diving right in. You have your manual in the chat. So if you want to download it, of course, the manual will also be sent to you. And if any of you haven't filled out the form on the website, that's the only way to get the follow-up information. Now, the way I have it set up, if you sign up on the website and you've never been to any classes, all the classes you missed will be emailed to you in emails. Like every week, I add the new email to the series. So first one, second, third, whatever, however many will show up. So there's an automation for that. But also when I'm telling people, hey, the class is coming up, or here's the Zoom link, although it's always the same Zoom link, but here's the Zoom link, then you will receive all those notifications if you sign up on the website, on the form. If you tell me that you're interested, that's not going to necessarily get you any updates. Just telling, just saying. PDA. No, PSA. Yeah, that's it. That was the wrong acronym. All right. So today we're starting strong with your body is a pillar of light. Do you guys know what that means? Your body is a pillar of light? All right. So as a soul, as a spirit, as a non-corporeal entity, you are light. You literally are physically light. And that light comes into the physical body in order to experience life in the material world, be able to touch and feel and drink and eat and whatever it wants to do in order to grow and develop, and challenges and difficult parents or difficulties in our lives. All of that, I believe, are some things that we have chosen on some level in order to grow and to put that bit of sand in the oyster so we can create the pearl, so you can become the pearl, so you can become the jewel. And so, yes, and today we're going to be talking about what happens with that light. Because if you look at the baby, and actually I'm going to show you the manual here with the baby. Let me just zoom it in. Okay. Look at that baby. Look at it. Do you see that baby? Do you see how there's no barrier between the baby's essence and you looking at the baby? You are seeing that person fully, and it's fully accepting of you. It's not scared. It's not hiding in any way. It's not, this person is not going to be, or maybe shy, but not in a way that an adult would be shy, because it's a spirit that hasn't had any blockages, any stoppages, anything stopping it from just purely expressing. And because this child is still within the safety of the mother, it's very young, the mother is still around, you can see that pure openness and acceptance. Not all babies necessarily look like that. Some babies already have problems and already have challenges and difficulties that they're overcoming. It is not an age thing. It is an innocence thing, a thing of, I haven't experienced so much adversity that it would affect me in a way that I would have to, show that on my face. Like my face is clean and clear, and you can see my eyes, and you can see what's inside behind my eyes into my soul. And so many people are trained, programmed, whatever, to hide behind. I should even stop opening the door because I just did that. Sorry. Thanks, Mike. So they hide behind all of their suffering and all of it's essentially, the way my mentor describes it is, if you have this beautiful diamond inside you that's like shining, deflecting the light everywhere, but then you pile a bunch of dog poop on it, and then it cannot shine anymore because it's in the dog poop. And so you're carrying around all these diamonds, but they're covered in dog poop. And so a lot of the insecurities, second guessing, like, oh, well, what am I going to do? What if this? What if that? All of that comes from not really being able or being comfortable to stand in your power and shine your diamonds. It takes a lot of courage to be able to shine your light, to be able to share your light. That baby, for the baby, it's not courage, because the baby doesn't know any better yet. It's all it knows is I am, you are, and coming. You know what I mean? But for you as an adult, you've heard no 1,000 times. You've had a broken heart. You've lost people that you loved. You have been fired from a job. There's you've failed in an exam. All of these things, and all of the stigma that comes with all of these things that happen to us, cause this kind of blockage and layering upon us. And in the physical body, that can happen too. Like, some people move energy really clearly through the physical body, but some people, the energy gets stuck in their body, and they might have a little extra fat, or sometimes they armor up with a lot of muscle, hard muscle. You know, they're like, I'm a dude, I'm working out, I don't feel my emotions. But in reality, all that hard muscle, it's covering some kind of a hurt. Now, your hurt, as we covered in the last class, is in the fascia, or maybe class before. We mentioned this already. We're going to talk about it more next week. But all of the emotional layers, all of the emotional reactions, they get stored in the fascia. And fascia is this thin, white sort of layer that holds all your muscles together. So when you're sore from being stressed out, it's not necessarily your muscles, it's that the covering, the pocket that the muscle is in, it becomes very tight. And it's an emotional body. This is an emotional reaction to something. It's not necessarily the physical thing, like when you go work out really hard. That's not necessarily fascia being tight. That could be just like your actual muscles storing lactic acid and being sore from that. But when it's an emotional thing, same thing kind of happens, but it's because fascia tightens around the muscles, and they're no longer able to release the lactic acid in order to, do their own rotation of fluids. Am I explaining that correctly? Let me have a sip coffee here. It's noon, so it's perfect time for first coffee in this house. So what I'm talking about, pillar of light, the pillar of light is that big light pillar inside you. It's your energetic body. I tried to find pictures and made a diagram that would kind of show you what I mean. But then every time somebody breaks your heart or says no or is rude to you or doesn't accept, like a lot of young children, maybe a little bit older than the little child that I showed you, have this open heart, and they go to their parents or grandparents or neighbors or whoever, and they say, oh my gosh, I wrote a poem, look, or I want to sing you a song, or did you see that? And when they're very, very young, like 1 or 2 years old, everybody's like, oh, so cute, yes. But as soon as they get to be 6 or 7, they're like, oh, that song is too loud, or oh, that poem sucks, or like, that doesn't rhyme, that's not a poem. And all of this criticism, the person is just trying to share purely of their heart at the level that they're at. They don't know any better, but the people around them are so mired in judgment that they cannot seem to control their reaction, essentially. And so instead of being happy for the child, oh wow, you did great song, maybe next time don't sing quite so loud, it could be better for listening if it wasn't so loud, or something like that, something that's constructive and positive and will strengthen that person. Remember, in every interaction with another human being, you can either strengthen that person or weaken that person. Well, is my camera doing weird shit? I just saw myself zoom in. Maybe it's just my imagination. But you can either strengthen that person or you can weaken that person. You can make a connection where that person can think about the words that you said to them for years to come and really be empowered and built up for it. Like if you're imagining the crabs in a bucket that Richard Grove talks about, the crabs pull each other back. So if one crab almost gets to the edge and it's got the edge, the other crabs will pull him back. What if we, in autonomy or in humanity or otherwise, did the opposite, where we we support the other crabs, even if they're in direct competition to us, even if they're, the same thing, the bakery down the street. What if we could collaborate? What if we would work together? What if we could do a better thing together? Creating that humanity again that we've lost probably 2,600 years ago I'm not sure when, but according to my research, it's possible that it would have been 2,600 years ago when humanity was like a unity thing where we cared more about each other than about competition. And now it's the time for competition, but that time is coming to an end, I think. And with us learning about how we interact with each other, how our bodies speak to each other, our bodies, and this will go way deeper next week, but our bodies speak to each other all the time. There is like, if you watch two people, and we'll look at some photos of two people sitting next to each other, you can see all sorts of shoulder movement, foot movement, knee movement that indicates how the person feels about the other person on the body level, on the subconscious level. They might say, I love him, he's my husband. But every time they sit next to him, they're like over here and he's like over here. And there's a huge gap between them. And so, no, he's not your husband. He just used to be your husband and you're just going through the motions. Because if he's really your husband, wouldn't your heads tilt towards each other? Wouldn't you lean your body slightly, ever so slightly towards him? Like if it's like your favorite cousin versus your least favorite cousin, right? On the pictures, think about that. If it's your favorite cousin, you're putting your arm around their shoulder, you're grabbing them, you're pressing their head against your own head. It's this kind of energy. But if it's your least favorite cousin, you might stand next to them. You will try not to touch them. How can I be as close as possible without touching them? And that is all visible. So those are all the messages from the body. It's just that in psychosomatic therapy, we learn how to decipher them. Like these shoulders are communication because it's throat chakra. So the shoulders move this way. It means this and this and this. So we know exactly the thread of why is that. But on the subconscious level, every single human can tell that there's something not right with that couple that's sitting there like this, away from each other. So every time you get talked back to, I don't know how to say it, every time somebody tries to diminish you, put you down, push down your energy, there's like a big chunk taken out of your pillar of light. It's not really so much that taken out, but it's more like covered up with the dog poop that we mentioned earlier. So there's chunks covered up. And so then after a while, you might be going and instead of being a big, lighthouse that calls towards you many other people, that shines the light for humanity, for the future, you're all like Swiss cheese trying to shine a light, but it's like trying to shine a light through a piece of paper with a bunch of holes in it. You can sort of see the light sometimes if you get it at the right angle, but it's not you shining your light, creating reality. It's not you influencing other people. It's not you showing the way. And I know that most people in this room, I know most people in this room are people who want humanity to be better, want to empower and strengthen other humans, want to see us succeed and not fall to propaganda, disempowering propaganda saying that we have to have, eyelashes that touch our eyebrows, and we have to have hair extensions, and we have to have this and this and this and this, and all these fake things, and $10,000 purse to boot, just so that we can be accepted as humans in our society, in our circles. That's not what humanity is about. I think humanity is much more about being good, excellent to each other, and supporting each other, and supporting all the animals, and creating a connection with other people, and being essentially a good person. Like, think about all the legends. Have you guys ever read any legends when you were children? All of these legends, they always say that the person who wins the prize does have what? They always have the one thing. They have a pure heart, right? They don't have riches. They don't have good clothes. They don't have $10,000 purses. All you need in order to succeed in life is to have a pure heart. And I know that a lot of people who are rich and maybe not so good maybe seem like, oh, look, he's succeeding, but is he succeeding? What is succeeding? What does it mean to be successful? Is succeeding a man who's a prisoner in his own house, prisoner to his $10,000 purse, and having to pay for this lifestyle that he doesn't have enough energy, and every day he wakes up and he needs to go to work to make the money to sustain his lifestyle so that he can live in a house he's never in because he's at work, and then he goes to work to make the money and goes and the strength, I don't know, because the actual quote for Robert A. Heinlein is to go to work to make the money, to get the food, to get the strength, to go to work to make the money, to get the food, to get the strength. When we're talking about these people, these rich people who are living a lifestyle, this is a lifestyle that was sold to them by some kind of a cabal, essentially creating this disconnect between them and their actual humanity. What else? I need to drink some coffee before it goes cold. Thank you, Eric. All your tissues or issues are in your tissues, the famous Carol Friesen quote. All your issues are in your tissues. That means that everything that happens to you, every kind of experience, every reaction is going to be stored in your body. It's going to be held in the body for some time, maybe a minute. Maybe you're a great energy magician and you can flow the energy through your body, and how they say, falls off his back like of a duck's, like water of a duck's back, right? They say that in every language, right? So that would be an energy that just flows through somebody, right? That person would likely be pretty slim, would have a lot of movement, energy movement in their body. They wouldn't hold on to things. They wouldn't hold on to tension. They wouldn't hold on to fat. They wouldn't hold on to necessarily all the really armored muscle. It could be nice lean muscle, but muscle that flows. And then you can look at that body, you can see the flow through the body, and how the person is just, not worried and not attached to any kind of opinion or judgment or societal expectation. I wrote a bunch of stuff in that book. It's probably really good. You guys should read it. In your manual. Hey, after I finish this class, I was thinking about putting all these manuals and making a book out of them. Would that be a cool idea? I think so, for people who didn't take this series. Okay, so communication. Communication is very important. And when you communicate with others, you're not communicating just with words. You're communicating with a whole bunch of other stuff. Even how I'm dressed, my hair, every single thing about me is communicating something to you. My background, how I'm gesticulating, the tone of my voice. So according to this very famous psychologist, Albert Mehrabian, I can never remember his name, so I read it. So Albert has posed, and this has been the standard in psychology, that 7% of communication is words, and 28 is the sound of the voice, and the rest is just the body language. And that would totally explain how we can absolutely talk to somebody who doesn't speak our language. I'm sure that many of us here, whose maybe English is not our first language or whatever, have had many opportunities to speak with people who we didn't speak their language at all. Yet you could still, communicate. I remember once having a whole conversation with an Italian man when I didn't speak any Italian at all, about World War II and stuff. It was crazy. It was a really deep conversation, considering we didn't speak each other's languages at all. But so because that's true, because 55% comes from your body language, it is just logical to learn what you're communicating. It's logical to learn about the body and to see what other people are communicating with you and what you're communicating with them, what you're projecting and what you're receiving. Because on some level, you understand it subconsciously, but you might actually not know what exactly it is. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And then I gave you a nice graphic. So what if you're, like you have deep insecurities and you roll your shoulders forward and you hunch, and when you speak, you want to speak really quietly? Like, does that mean you're doomed? Does that mean you can't ever be good in society? You can never be accepted. You can never be successful? No, it means that you were a victim of this education system. It means that nobody ever nurtured you in a way that you need in order to be communicating with other people in an effective way. What it really means is that your inner parents are not there for you. They're not supporting you. Because in reality, if you were feeling comfortable inside your own body, if you knew that behind you, there's these two powerful beings, your inner mother and your inner father, who always have your back, literally. And if you stumble, they'll always be there to help you, to support you, to be there for you, to give you the strength. You'd understand that there is nothing to be scared of. You cannot be scared of other people. You cannot be scared of even animals. If you're fully centered inside you, even animals won't hurt you. Apparently, the street dogs outside are dangerous. I never knew because I just stuck my hand inside where the lady had her babies, and she was completely fine with me touching her. And she never said she was going to bite me. But apparently, the neighbor was afraid to go within 3 feet of the thing, afraid she's going to bite him. So I don't know what it means about me and my energy, but my energy is very open, and I don't have any secrets from these animals. I don't sneak on them. I don't, I'm honestly always just being helpful and being there for them. And same with humans. So through exercise and through understanding, the biggest thing is understanding. You're rolling your shoulders forward. Okay, why? Why are you? What can you go back and tell me why are you? Who hurt you? But in reality, not in a sort of flippant way. But what happened that you are now like you? At one point, you shared your heart with the world. At one point, you were heart forward and you were pushing it out there, and you were saying to the world, "Look, world, I am here. I am." And somebody smacked you over the head. Somebody didn't want to hear it. Somebody didn't want to express, didn't like the way you said it. Somebody thought that you should go and get a haircut and get a real job or whatever it was. And so then you started rolling your shoulders forward because you're afraid that the essence, the pure excitement that is who you are, is not going to be accepted by the other people. But it's a lot more complicated than that, because you're essentially, we're all in the kindergarten. You're in a kindergarten, I'm in a kindergarten, and all there is other 4-year-olds running around. And that 4-year-old just didn't have very good support at home. He might have told you some stupid stuff. He was probably a lot older than you, like biologically. So maybe you listened, maybe you paid attention, but in reality, he was still a 4-year-old. And like a bully or a critic, not a 4-year-old that you want to play with and wrestle with and grow stronger with, but a 4-year-old that you might not want to hang out with again. And just to understand that everybody's a 4-year-old. Even my mean dad is a 4-year-old inside. He may be a big, mean bully on the outside. Well, he's not anymore because he got old, but he used to be. But he's really a baby who was hurt. Why is he a bully? Because somebody was mean to him when he was a baby. So I'm talking about inner parents, inner mother, inner father, all of that a lot, because that's what really helped me. The creating the avatar inside my own self made me feel not so afraid. I used to be afraid of stepping out. Like when I first graduated, I was afraid, like that's the imposter syndrome. Like, what if the people that hire me will realize that I'm totally crazy and I don't fit into the corporate world, which is true. I never did fit into the corporate world. But at the time I thought it was just, how am I going to fool them? How am I going to trick them to hire me so I can survive, so I can get a job, so I can do all this stuff, right? But how can we reverse the effects of rolling your shoulders forward? How can we reverse the effects of the fear that we have inside? Well, fear specifically, I mean, psilocybin is pretty good for fear. If you guys are dealing with like grief or fear at a very deep level, psilocybin definitely. But other than that, all the answers are within you. There's no therapist that can come and get you and fix you in reality. If you think about it, like, yeah, we can go to therapy and we can talk about our problems, but the person who actually has to do the work is not the therapist, is you. They can point you in the right direction. They can shine a light at the problems you're having. In reality, the shining the light is the key thing for therapy, because if you understand that you roll your shoulders forward because someone hurts you and you identify it was Steve in grade 6 who said this, and that's why I'm afraid now to speak, to tell poetry, because he punched me after I told a poem and I was a poet, and all this stuff, all the story around it, right? So if you understand the story around it, you can tell yourself a new story. Like Steve didn't understand you because he was, not poetically inclined. But you, if you're among peers, among people who are actually like you, that'll be a completely different thing. And so for that, the inner mom and the inner dad come in, step in, and stop you from self-abusing by remembering the thing with Steve and what he did, and say, no, we don't put each other down in this kindergarten. We don't do this. Here, what we're doing is we're taking care of ourselves and our energy. So I threw into your manual words to avoid and their replacement. Now, in the classes, in the next year, when we're doing the weekly classes, I'm going to go a lot deeper with that, and I'm going to include bunch of words and their meanings, the energetic meanings, like the word no, I know. So we're talking to somebody and somebody's sharing their truth with us, and we're like, I know. But on the subconscious level, all that person hears is no, I don't want to hear you anymore. Please stop talking. So that's on the subconscious level. But on the conscious level, you're just telling them, I know, I understand, right? Well, saying I understand would be much better, because then I understand has other issues when it comes to liberty-minded people. Or this is not that class. But just to understand, just to stand under the information that you are in charge of what voices go on in your head, and you are the policeman who needs to nip that in the bud. You're the person, like, just because Steve bullied you when you were a child, it doesn't give you permission to continue bullying yourself now, years later, and repeat all that stupid shit that Steve told you when you were 12 to stop yourself from shining. That's more dog shit on your diamonds, instead of cleaning it off. And how would you clean it off? You clean it off by allowing yourself to understand that Steve was Steve and he's got his own kindergarten issues, and you are you, and you can shine your, like, just polishing those diamonds up, not allowing yourself to speak any bad words about yourself. Like, even if you fail miserably, even if you make a mistake, okay, let's learn from it. Tell yourself the stuff that you would tell a 4-year-old child. Don't tell yourself stuff that you wouldn't tell to a child. Because if you say something to yourself that you wouldn't to a child, why? Why would you be rude to yourself but not to a child? And if the words that you normally say to yourself wouldn't be appropriate to say to a child, why? Why? What are you saying to yourself that is so bad that you couldn't say it to a child? That's abuse. If you can't say it, if you can't comfortably say it to a 4-year-old, I'm not talking about intellectual, I'm talking about emotional words, then you shouldn't be saying to yourself, like, what are you, stupid? Oh my God, you always fuck up this thing. All of these things. If you can't say it to yourself, if you can't say it to a 4-year-old, don't say it to yourself. It's the minimum inner parenting rule. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to tell you about is the lack of coming of age ceremonies in our society. So all of this programming, all of this stuff that we learned for all these hundreds of hours in schooling, elementary school, high school, higher education, all of that programming goes into your mind. There isn't a time where it's like, okay, well, we were protecting you at this time from hurting yourself because you were a child, but now that protection is over. You need to be standing on your 2 feet. You're an adult. You're now responsible for yourself. So now, after, this ceremony, we're going to light a candle, we're going to do something, and then you're going to be an adult. There isn't a ceremony. All the elders of the village don't come in a circle and congratulating you for becoming an adult. So because of that, it's really tempting to be looking at yourself as a child all your life, to be looking up to doctors and lawyers and teachers and, even your parents who are essentially no older than you. Once you're in your 20s, your parents are just other 4-year-olds in your 4-year-old kindergarten, But just to defer responsibility for yourself, to defer like, oh yeah, my dad wanted me to be an accountant, so I'm an accountant. And oh, you know, they wanted this to, or oh, my mom would be mad if I became a model because she has bad opinions about modeling, so I'm not ever going to become a model. All of these stupid little thoughts, oh, they said this and they said that, that can go away once you take the reins away from being a child. Like when you're a child, yes, you need somebody to take care of you. You need somebody to tell you where to go, when to go. Do you have to go, Eric? Where to go, when to go, and all of this stuff. But once you become like an adult, 18, 21, whatever it is, random number, once you decide that you're an adult now, you need to take all that power away from all these people back to yourself, because now it's up to you. Now everything is your fault. And that's the biggest thing, is now everything is your fault. And so people don't want it to be their fault because they want to be a good girl. So they want to point fingers and blame somebody. Oh, it's their fault. Oh, this society is broken, or these people are broken, or my ex-girlfriend, she was broken. She was messed up. That's why we're no longer friends, or that's why we're no longer together, because she was messed up, not me. I'm good. But in reality, anything you do is your responsibility. And even if you broke up with another human because you no longer see eye to eye, that's nothing to be blameful about. That's just reality, you know. We were growing and then we grew apart, and now we're no longer together. Everything is good. She's growing in her direction. I'm growing in my direction. Everybody happy. It doesn't have to be a big drama thing. But creating a comfortable environment inside yourself where you're no longer falling for the ebbs and flows of the emotional attacks. I think that concludes my lecture on a strong note.
How do you see that in relation to all the brainwashing going around in society? When is it actually time for someone? You know, Mark Passio talks about the nations versus ignorance, which is the same thing basically. But do you get my question?
When is the time for what?
For like taking the responsibility for your own thing, because we've been brainwashed since we were kids, right? So at some point in time we start to realize that we're actually responsible for our actions, even though we're flipping from like being brainwashed into starting to understand that it is our fault at some point in time, right? And when is that point in time to you?
Well, so that's the same question as when is the right time for somebody to learn how to read? I learned how to read when I was 3 years old, but other people, they learned how to read when they're 8 years old or 9 years old, or maybe 10 years old. Like it depends on your proclivities and who you are as a person, right? And where you're coming from. And with programming, you can tell yourself, like I can tell myself, oh yeah, look, I've done so many years of work. I don't have programming. I still have programming in my head. I still have programming, and I still run into it not every single day, but I run into it. You know, I have a thought that's like the kitten story. That's my favorite story. There were 3 kittens that came to my door and they asked for, really young kittens, just barely stopped sucking milk, or maybe should have still been. And they asked for food, and I closed the door, because if you feed 3 kittens, you know, there's 100 kittens will come the next day. It's a bad idea. It's not a good idea. And I closed my door, and then I realized that, you know, these 3 kittens, they're babies and they're asking me for help. And as a human, it is my responsibility to respond. And like trying to not listen, they're like, please, please. And I'm like, no, la, 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 la. That's not humanity. And 100 kittens didn't come the next day. I tell you guys, I gave them food after an hour of trying not to listen to them. I gave them food, and after a couple of days, they moved on. They were strong enough, old enough, whatever, to go and hunt and do their thing. Mom left them early, and they were a little bit uncomfortable with it. They needed help. They asked for help. They went to my house. I mean, if you look at it from energetic point of view, like higher level, these creatures came to my house and said, hey, excuse me, lady, would you mind helping us? We're really hungry, please. You know, you know, that's programming. And that was just a couple years ago when I thought like all of this self-talk and all this bullshit. But yeah, no. And self-talk is also going to trip you up, you know. Just as soon as you think, oh yeah, look, I got such good self-talk, I'm so strong, you know, something is going to happen, hit you out of left field, and you're going to go back to the self-talk that you were trained to do when you were a child. And then it's up to your inner parents to go, whoa, 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 we don't talk like that anymore. We don't do that anymore. Come back, come back. No guns in the kindergarten. Like guns. Oh, the delivery is going to be here in 8 minutes. We're doing well. Mike, do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to load the pictures that you brought? We can look at a couple pictures.
Yeah, probably better for you to do it than me.
If I do it, okay, hang on. Where's my circle? Circle.
I enjoyed this. It was
Nice.
very good. I'm going to go and put the little one to sleep. This was excellent. Thank you very much. I'll catch
You're
rest
most
on the replay.
welcome. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
Me too.
Mike, where did you send me these pictures?
It was on the forum messenger.
But, oh, did you comment with them, or you send me to them direct message?
Yeah, direct message.
Because there's no pictures. There's your picture that I sent you, and there's no pictures in Circle at all. I saw them. That was weird. But
All right, let's see if I can share them.
was there a specific picture you wanted us to see? Or do you want to share your screen? Or do you want to send them over? I'm going to do a Q&A while you look for them, okay? Or I can find other pictures, but.
I've got them here. Hold on, I just gotta put them in the right thing, I think.
So what about the rest of you guys? Howard, nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Thanks. It was really awesome to hear about the way we operate on an energetic level, and how the kind of light gets dimmed by life experiences. It's something I can definitely relate to. Having kind of gone through a whole process of reclaiming my inner child over the past couple of years, it really makes a lot of sense.
Yes, reclaiming your inner child is really important, but at the same time, I will direct you back to the King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, that book. Have you read it before?
No, I haven't. Sounds like one I should definitely check out though.
Absolutely write it down, because the inner child can lead you astray as well into the high chair tyrant or the young despot. King, Warrior, Magician, Lover.
Cool. Yeah, I'm making out that. Thank you.
Let me see if I can. I looked at books so often that it's it comes up. Let's see, Amazon. Well, you guys will have to figure it out, because Amazon Mexico comes up for me, but there you go.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Okay, Mike, the picture you're showing, that's a guy on an angle, so it's really hard to read because we don't know. There's all sorts of trickery going on when your chin is up like that. You can't tell lots of things. And his forehead is covered. You can't really tell what his eye shape is.
Yeah, well, I took a couple pictures.
So this is specifically someone you want us to read?
Well, I've got a couple other people, but
Oh, that one, the last one. Okay, so in this one we can see clearly his face shape on the bottom. We can't see what his face shape is on the top, but we can see on the bottom. And the guy said 2 minutes, so I might have to run in 2 minutes, but the face shape on the bottom is rounded, so it'd be that trickster energy, that go with the flow, but at the same time manipulate kind of energy. Mike, can you take over for a minute? I'll be right back. I'm gonna go take a look, get delivery. Give me 2 minutes. You tell us what you remember from reading face.
Well, I was thinking this guy's kind of got a square face, because it's almost his face is almost as wide as it is
I have
long.
to talk about it in a minute. Hang on. I'll be right back.
But like this guy, look at how round his face. He almost looks like a circle. And also look how his ears are almost like indented into his head, whereas like this guy's ears obviously protrude quite a bit. He's got hair over it, of course, but you can see, like in this picture, his ears are much bigger and more pronounced. And then this guy, look at his ears. I mean, they don't even look like human ears. They're almost, and to me, I was thinking, is this a triangle? Because it almost looks like a triangle. And maybe it's just the way he's got his beard cut here, but here's another shot of his ears from the side. These are all motocross racers, pretty much the top of the line, ultimate athletes. But they've each got a pretty interesting story. So I was hoping to get Agnieszka to give us some stuff and again, here's like, look at this guy's ears. And I'm not sure, but as opposed to the guy that I was saying had a square face, this guy looks more like a rectangular face, whereas it's longer and thin. Of course, they all got their hats on, so that's kind of a bit of a problem. And then this guy, he's another one that looks almost squared. But each of these guys has a different story, a different origin, from a different place. So let me get back to this. Anybody have any thoughts about some of these faces and just general observations? Most of these guys are in their 30s. One of these guys is in his teens. Do you know which one that is? How about that? Anyone want to take a guess?
It's probably I don't know, you have to go back, the guy with the hat that sits really high on top of his head. As a teenager. Yeah,
this
him,
one?
I'd say.
You're saying he's the young guy?
You just said one of them's in their teens, so that's
Yep.
who I'm saying.
Yeah, this guy is 19. And the rest are in their 30s.
Yeah. I can barely hear you, by the way. So.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. Can you speak up a little bit?
Well, let me see. How do I adjust my audio here?
Hi, guys. I'm back.
Yeah.
My office is like on the third floor of the house. You have to run all the way down and all the way back. Whew.
Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
little bit confused why Michael said that this guy has trickster energy. What's trickster about?
Well, so what this guy has is like a rectangular face on the bottom, but his weight, his fat is making it round, right? And so the rounded face in archetypes is the one like go with the flow, but at the same time manipulate. It's not like you are high ideals, stuck in your ways, opinionated. Sorry, I'm being off the cuff, but you know what I mean? Like you're strong in your opinions, you're very stubborn, you're very strong, powerful woman. Whereas this dude, he's more of a trickster because he'll like want to use other people's money kind of thing. Not necessarily in that way, but you know what I mean? Like avoid responsibility, manage things. And maybe originally his head was supposed to be rectangular, but he's gone the easy way out. You know, and he's got a bit of a weak chin too, so determination is just not there. So all that together makes me think of a trickster energy, right? I know Mike said that he has a square, but I really like, if you really look closely at his chin, there's a lot of roundness going on. It could be the photo too. There's a lot of white in there, so it's maybe blending. But it looks like he's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that does kind of fit his personality. You know, he's a motocross rider. He's very successful at it. He's only 19 years old, but he is one that's he's kind of a wild child. His father was also a motocross rider, so he has his father, all of his father's experience. His father is basically you know, his mentor, and to a large degree, you know, his dad basically makes sure that he doesn't get himself into too much hot water. But he is a bit of a little, you know,
He
a wild one.
he'll like speak out loudly against things, like tell people to F off or
Well,
something.
he's you know, he's also he's a YouTube star. His name is last name is D, and I'm blanking on his
Like,
first name at the moment.
so we
But,
have all this arrogant manipulation. Hang on a sec, Mike. So we have all this arrogance and manipulation going on with this kid. But look at the corners of his mouth. What's that mean? When is the last time you guys made this face?
Didn't he say that was grief?
Grief.
Like sadness, grief?
Yes.
When it's
Yeah.
grief, it's kind of deeper and longer.
Mm-hmm.
When it's sadness, it's like his shorter ones.
Mm-hmm.
But so he's sad. So why is he sad? He's a successful YouTuber. His father is his mentor, but he's like going with the flow. So he's basically controlled. So basically what you're telling me is that they control his every move and he's a little sad about it. But he comes off as really arrogant. Because the big bottom lip.
yeah, he just had he just had they just had a championship thing, and he he screwed up in an earlier race, so he couldn't win the race. So he had to crash the other guy to win the championship, and he did everything he could and ended up crashing himself and breaking his collarbone. And you know, to some degree, it was just way over the top kind of a situation.
So do you think
But
his dad says,
like I said, he's from a stable of people.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, he really wanted to win. I mean, he doesn't like win it's like win or nothing, you know, kind of thing for him. Now this guy,
Do you think his father told him to
is
cuddle the other? Wait. We're still back on the other guy. Do you think that his father told him to scuttle the other driver? Like, okay, if the guy starts winning, do everything you can to stop him. Like, do you think that from his face?
I believe so. I think he went out there with like a strategy, and he you know, he carried it out. So yeah, more than likely that was his father's advice.
Yeah, because he's got a big heart, but look at his eyes. Like, I know that maybe there's a camera close to him or whatever, but his eyes seem to be like really narrow in the center, like more towards the center than towards the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys see that? I mean, we'd have to see a few more photos to see if that's really true, if that's just like at the moment he was looking at something, but it seems, and so that would suggest that he's maybe, yeah, I see the same thing there. that would suggest that he's like narrow focused, narrow minded, like not narrow minded so much, but like he doesn't want to see the peripheral stuff. He doesn't want to see all that. He wants to know, like this. But the other thing about that just comes to me, and I don't know if it's true, and we would have to explore it when it comes to this person and get to know them better and analyze them better or whatever. But like prey animals, they're ones that are afraid. They look behind them, and predator animals look in front of them. So he's like a predator. I don't know if I was thinking he was a prey, so I don't know if that's related, but like if you're really looking forward, what does that mean for you? What were you gonna say, Mike?
I would say that's accurate. A description of him.
Because like if you look at a raptor bird, their eyes are in front, but if you look at like a regular bird, the eyes are on the side, so they can see behind them.
Now I wanted to touch on this guy because this guy, he's also an interesting character, and unfortunately, I guess I got that's a little bit better on the face, but his face is almost like a old, I mean, it's almost a circle, it seems to me. Like when you compare it to the other guys, his face is so round.
I see them as very similar at the bottom, yeah. Personally. But yeah, his face is also pretty round. It looks more round because he's got a little bit of hair on the chin, so that like defines the roundedness of the chin, whereas the other guy was clean shaven, so that kind of the line blurred a little bit where his chin and the neck met. But I think that this guy, yeah, well, you know what? There's a lot of similar characteristics with this guy. He is easygoing. He's easily manipulated. Somebody tells him what to do. He's got a big heart and he's pretty outspoken. He's got a big chip on his shoulder. I don't even need to see his shoulders for that. And he's like a bit of a rebel. He's like, fuck you to the world kind of guy. But at the same time, he's not holding back. He's like showing his heart out. Similar to the other guy, his eyes are very open.
Yeah, this guy is he's won the world championship many times, and he is kind of one of these guys that, like, if he gets into a battle with somebody else, he always kind of intimidates them and somehow gets the win. And so he's done that years over years. And, it really doesn't matter whatever the situation is. When it comes to the day of the race, this guy is on fire, and a lot of people are afraid of him.
I wonder, but he seems to have a handler behind him, somebody big who tells him what to do and how to do it, right? Or no?
Oh, well, these guys are all, they've got organizations behind them to a large degree. And then this guy. Now,
This guy's
and I wanted to ask, like, look at this guy's ears. What's going on with his ears? They're almost like squished into his side of his head. They're like behind his head almost.
See, so that goes with my theory that this guy's a poser and in reality a weak person who's being handled by someone else. Because outwardly, the lips, the eyes, he's very powerful, but the ears and the chin show him as being like a follower, pushover, somebody who's scared. Like ears, like if you have ears that are almost pinned to the back, let's think about animal thing, like that's scared, afraid for your life kind of thing. Oh no, you're bigger than me, you're gonna hurt me, that kind of thing. Like when does a dog pin his ears back? Right?
Yeah.
And the opposite, if the ears, well, almost the same. If the ears are sticking way out, that means that they're also, it's another element of afraid, and it's like listening to every little sound kind of thing.
That's kind of like this guy's ears.
A little
I
bit.
would
I've seen much worse, but
in
yeah.
comparison.
This guy's ears actually, okay, so we're gonna do a whole class on ears, right? Like a month on ears. Not a month on ears. Yeah, probably. Something like that, like at least 2 classes. But this guy's ears are large, right? So like that suggests that he had a supportive family to begin with. You know what I mean? Like his early days were so like safe.
Any idea where this guy's from or origin?
Um,
These are all from different places.
he looks Scandinavian to me.
He's German.
I mean, there's a lot of mixing of that in that area. But so with this guy, he's got a rectangular head with a triangular chin. And I can tell that even though it's weird angles you're showing me, I can still tell that, right? Because he's very chiseled. So when you're super chiseled, it's easy to see the angles. So there's a definite angle in his jawline, like in his ascending ramus here. There's a different sharp angle. And then the chin is pretty triangular, but also he's got a split in the middle of his chin, right? So means that he's a bit of a pushover, like he'll go with the flow, he'll let somebody call the shots, even though he is pretty secure and solid within himself. He's got high ideals. He's got similar, you know what? They all 3 have similar mouths. They're a little bit narrowed in their width, but they're very expressive. Well, this guy's got the smallest lips, but they're still pretty expressive in the height, but a little bit narrowed in the width.
Yeah, this guy, he was like the young kid where he was a superstar really young, but he kept getting injured. He had these like almost catastrophic injuries. He almost lost one of his arms, and they reconstructed it, and to everybody's surprise, he came back and tried to race and has successfully done it. Now he's an older guy, but a lot of people respect him for just the amount of hardship he's been through, and he won't give up. And he's never won a championship, but he's all like everybody thought he was going to be just a superstar. And to mention what you said, his father was kind of he was another one. His father supported his career, and his father really was kind of a key figure. However, as he became like a professional, him and his father had a kind of a dispute, and his father went back to Germany and he stayed in America.
I can't imagine how annoyed his mother must have been after he had an accident and his father kept encouraging him.
Yeah, this guy's injuries, like to see the pictures of like his arms, he's just, I mean, they were just totally destroyed.
Poor guy. Yeah, so that's what I see there. I don't, but like a lot of these guys, I mean, I guess maybe in the profession you need to be obedient to your bosses or whatever, because a lot of these guys show a lot of like easily influenced, easily pushed around, afraid, those kind of things, Maybe even the last guy, maybe he had overpowering parents as well. Maybe they were supportive, but like not the way he'd want them to be necessarily.
This guy, I thought, his face kind of looks rectangular. That's probably not a good one, but this is another guy that comes from a kind of unique location. Any ideas where you think he might come from?
Ukraine.
What did you say, Natalia?
Ukraine,
No,
Kazakhstan.
he's British. He's
Okay.
British.
Also, he's probably Slavic of some sort.
Yeah. Sure.
Possible, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely a Ukrainian tie to the British.
Do you guys see that thing on his chin though? The upside down horseshoe thing on his chin?
Mm-hmm.
That's like him crying silently inside him. But like not just sad. Like sad is like, this is more like actual crying. If you look, see my face as soon as
Yeah, well, this guy has definitely dealt with a lot of disappointment. Currently, he's actually racing. He's on a streak where every race he's entered, he wins, and he's doing something that's just never been done before. But he's just absolutely on top of it. And he's kind of considered a very pleasant guy to be around, which is different than some of these other guys. Like this guy, I hear, not very pleasant to be around. He is very demanding.
well, look how high his ideals are. His base is very, very tall, and that combined with some other features will show that he expects excellence, not just from himself, but from those around him. Demands excellence, maybe even. And ideal, I you have to do it right. You can't, there's no cutting corners kind of thing. You know what I mean? That other guy that you showed me, the next guy over, when he was smiling in one of the pictures, you could really see the definition around his cheeks, like the lines here. Go to the next picture.
The thing I wanted to ask.
Sorry, bye, Mike. He lost internet. Poor guy. Now I'll never know what he wanted to ask me. There he is. Does anybody have any other questions before Mike comes back? Hang on a second, Michael. Any questions so far?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question about the book. Is there a book that's equivalent for female archetypes?
You know what? I would recommend the same book.
Okay.
Just relabel it to the woman, like
Mhm.
understand that the words are about man, but it would apply to a woman as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because there really isn't. There is a book about female archetypes. I found it once. It's like this thick,
Okay.
like 10 pages, and it's this big.
Mm.
And it's not very good. It's about the goddess and empowerment from the goddess. It's not something you would need to read about because you already know all that stuff.
Right.
This one really breaks it down in a way
Mhm.
that you can see, like when you're being the high chair tyrants versus being, the king. Those are two different energies inside you, and you can feel who you are being at any moment, right? So even though the labels are masculine, I would advise you not to skip this book just because it's about men, but like
Mhm.
rewrite it in your head for women, because it really like parallels very nicely. It's just the label. It's written by men for men, but the
Right.
labels transfer.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
high chair tyrant can be a man or a woman,
Right.
and king versus queen. There are slight differences, but it's still very, very informative.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you, Jill, you wanted to say something? No, you're just. It's all good.
Okay,
It's
I
all
have
good.
another question. So, I have done a lot of work on myself, and especially in the last couple of years, I've really paid attention to creating a comfortable environment inside of myself and like speaking to myself, like, you talked about in this class. And right now, there's somebody who came into my life who was really, really hurt as a child by his mother. And I'm trying to kind of like show him the light and to be the light in his life. But I find that like we're just so far away from each other, you know, like he never did any work on himself. And he's just in so much pain. So I'm just kind of like wondering, like, what is the best way to approach this without like being dragged down into this, you know, kind of like world of pain, I guess.
Well, you can lead a horse to water, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, you know, he has to become his own mother, right? He has to replace the external mother, the despotic mother, the controlling
Mhm.
mother with his own supportive mother. He has to replace the archetype within himself. He needs to
Mhm.
learn how to be supported by his own inner mother. And until
Yeah.
he does that, I'm not sure, like you can explain to him about your work. I think maybe the best way to explain how it works for you, if he's open to
Mhm.
listen to that. Like I used to have these thoughts and now I have these
Mhm.
thoughts and here's why, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But maybe he's just not there yet. Like you can't expect everybody to be the same grade. Some people just started their kindergarten, you know? Like everybody is at the
Yeah, I
different
hear.
level. The other thing is, and I do believe that with the soul journey or whatever, you know, some people have a special challenge for this year, this lifetime.
Mhm.
Right? So like whatever your challenge is for this lifetime, that's what you're doing. So if you're above that, beyond that, you've overcome whatever he's at, but he's still
Mhm.
in that previous grade where you used to be, then not much you can do to bring him up to your level other than him just, you know, passing the level.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news again.
No, but I was thinking along the same lines because, like you said, like you cannot really skip the class, like you cannot really skip the level, right? Like you have to do your own work, and it takes time. It's very gradual. It's not immediate because it's not really intellectual. It's just kind of like being present and being conscious, you know, like moment by moment, and being very patient with yourself.
Yeah, but also like, you know, you don't have to stop being friends with your mother in order to release her control. You just have to take the reins from her. Like someone's driving the horse that is you. Is it you or is it your mother? Or is it your boss or is it your wife? Or is it who is driving you? Right. And just take that back to yourself. Allow yourself to be your own leader, to be your own parent, to be your own protector, and then everything looks different from that perspective.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really love how you said it.
Oh
Mhm.
no, Jill, what happened? Are you okay, Jill? Just
It
type in,
seems to be working now. Yeah, same thing happened last week, so I don't know what it is.
just
But
type in your browser because my link was from Mexico anyway, so you don't need the link. Just type in King Warrior Magician Lover
yeah,
and the
yeah,
book
no,
will
I
show
was
up.
just trying to copy it. That was all, and stick it into the browser. But when I put it to go into the browser, that's when it froze everything. But I don't know. It happened last week. But anyway,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know. Sometimes on Zoom I can copy and sometimes I can't
yeah,
copy, and
yeah.
I don't know what the difference is or what the setting is. If there was a setting, I would totally fix it, but yes. But you know, any kind of stuff like that, I always include in the email afterwards or whatever. So, and if I don't, you can write to me and I will. So are there any questions? Michael, were you finished? Did you have any other last questions about your faces?
Yeah, I had one more about the one guy. Let's see if I can, because he's got such a pointed chin. I was thinking, is this guy a triangle?
Triangle. Yeah, well, the German guy was triangle tendencies. But look how
This is a
back.
side view, but you can see that he's got this like triangle or, you know, this
Also,
very pointed chin.
remember the last week we were talking about what would happen if you cut your head off and put it on a table in the face reading class, right? So like your face shape, if your face is square and you cut it off and you put it on a table, it'd go cool, right? If your face is oval, it might roll one way or another. If your face is triangle, it would like teeter-totter, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys that you're showing me, these drivers for the racing cars, they have weak chins. They either have round chins or triangle chins, all of them. There was not one solid, strong, powerful chin, right? And I think that's because the nature of their work. They're not independent. They don't make their own decisions. They are totally dependent on their bosses, where they're going to go, how they're going to go, what they're going to try, the bosses, the sponsors, all of that. So everybody around them controls them. So it's hard for them to have like a solid chin. So they're all, you know, either triangle or the roundedness with the extra fat. Even though that guy had like a tendency to be square, he's actually rounded on the bottom.
And this guy, he's got like baby ears, right? It's pretty clear, and like you said, they're kind of in the back, further back than I think would be normal.
And so what zone? We talked about zones last week. What zone are his ears in?
Mental.
What'd you say?
Emotional.
Yeah, so it's under the eyebrows. If you draw a line from the eyebrow to the back, his ears don't touch that line, right? And
This
then
is
if
the
you draw a line from the nostril,
thinking above emotional and then the physical below, right? Below the
right.
nose.
So like the bottom of the nose to the ear, it's the, you know, the line. I mean, his head is a bit tilted, so, but even if it touches a little bit, it's not really in the physical zone. So he hears and interacts with the world on an emotional level. He doesn't like but then that makes sense too, because his job, he's not a rocket scientist. He's not a Nobel Prize winner. He's a race car driver, right? It's a very
motorcycles. He's in riding motorcycles.
Okay, whatever, close enough.
Yeah.
You know, same kind of thing, right? Like he doesn't need to solve the world's problems. He doesn't need to build the next rocket. He, you know, all he has to do is focus on his work and do it well. So his ears being small, like that would suggest like overpowering family and him not wanting to listen at a very young age, maybe the age of 10 or something. They're not super tiny. But yeah, maybe the age of 10, he didn't want to listen to anymore to the stuff that was going on around with his family. And so he stopped. His ears didn't go any further.
All right. I'll leave it there.
Thank you for bringing pictures. It was entertaining, at least for me. Was it entertaining for you guys?
Yep.
I was watching an interview and I was like, damn, these face shapes, they're all over the place. I've gotta I've gotta go back and take some snapshots.
Nice. Thank you, Noel. So I think, you know, I usually book an hour and a half for these classes, an hour to talk and then half an hour for buffer. So if there's any other questions, we can still take them for a few more minutes. And if not, Jill needs to go to bed.
I'm good. Thank you so much, Agnieszka. It was wonderful.
You absolutely are right, Agnetha. I did the the interview this morning, but I was up until 3 this morning too. I'm so tired.
How did it go?
Well, it went. I think it went well. It's very hard to know. But it's going to a second round. I'm actually doing the job that I'm interviewing for, so I may lose this job to someone else. So, you know, but it's going to a second round, and they didn't give much time to help give us to prepare. So anyway, that's why I was hoping it didn't look like it was falling. I was
No, you were
listening,
good. You were good. I was just
like,
thinking about the time and where you're at.
yeah, I know it's only 7:30, so it's
Oh, 7:30. I thought it was 8:30.
yeah,
Right, right.
no, yeah, I know it's only 7:30. So sorry, I know I'm just a little bit tired. I'm very tired. Not normally at this tired at this time of the night. But I won't make next week because we're at a work sort of dinner in Dublin. And it
Nice.
looks really interesting. But I can get the replay and I can come to the next one. Then there's one more before
Well,
Christmas, isn't there?
see if you can do some face reading at the party. Oh, he's got a
Yeah, no,
round
and
head
I'll
and
have
he's
to.
got
I
a
didn't have time to listen back to your other two, so I need to. Because I didn't hear about it until after the first one, so I need to do the first one, listen to it. But I didn't have time this week to do anything. But I'll do it this week before. Well, before the 2 week in 2 weeks' time. Sorry, I'm not even speaking properly at this stage. Sorry. I'm completely and utterly exhausted from it. Is a lot of the emotional. But you know what I meant to say? You mentioned something about fascia. And just before, while I was working, right, I was finishing work when we started. And but I was listening to it's Joe Truth Stream. It's Joe and Scott, their podcast, and that's how I found your. They had forwarded the Zoom link to your thing because they're friends with Carol, and Carol was here in Ireland with them about September. So I was listening to an interview they were doing with what is it? He's called Human Garage. You heard of him? Anyway, he was completely talking about the fascia. And I've been Rolfed. I'm sure you've heard of Rolfing, but that works on the fascia. But I never thought about what fascia actually is or what it looked like. I just knew it was a sheath. But he showed a little video in the interview, the guy, right? I can't remember his name, but he's the Human Garage podcast. And it looks like this network. I didn't realize that the fascia, I don't know,
So
I
if
thought
you
it
can
was
find
more
a
soft.
picture, so you
Hmm?
know that traveling show that goes all over the world, Bodies, I think it's called, with all the dead bodies. Have you ever seen that?
No,
They ever
no.
go to Ireland? So like it's this dude who preserved a bunch of dead bodies. And you can
Hmm.
see like a pregnant lady and a fetus, and you can see a sheep and a horse. It's like a whole gallery of these dead bodies. It's very
Wow.
creepy, but it's super interesting because you get to see inside the human and all what it looks like, right? And he's got one with muscles, one with veins, one with, and he preserves it in a way like the sheep that was just fascia. It was standing, it was still standing. All the fascia was preserved. It was just not the muscles, everything else was gone. It was just fascia. And then another one was just veins, like they're hardened
Hmm.
in some kind of epoxy or something. It's very interesting. And so yeah, I that's how I saw it. That's where I saw it. What it was is in that show. It came to Calgary when I used to live there, and I went to see it.
Mm.
So it's
It's
really
very,
creepy because
very
it's actual
interesting.
dead people.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and animals.
Yeah, well, it was just fascinating. And he was talking about I haven't looked, I only just heard about him just before we come on to your class. But he was the guy that does it. They sort of developed this technique or something. Um, and he showed pictures of his own face from 5 years ago, and each year and how his face, whatever it is, the technique that he does, right? I think it's 15-minute exercise every day. His face, it wasn't even look like the same person. So I was saying, oh, I must tell. I know I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
Just say Agni. You can just say Agni.
Oh, I say Agni then. So, so I must tell you about this because his face was so completely different.
because he
I think he's
released
talking
all of
about the
the
way the eyes
emotion.
move and everything. So from 5 years, you wouldn't even think it's the same person. So
On January 8th, I'm going to show you guys some before and after photos of myself and some people I know. And the lady that was in the manual last week with the big blue eyes, her before and after, she looks like a completely different person. She's my age, so now she's 53, but she looks like, like
she
very
looks like that
bright.
picture.
Pardon me?
Does she look like the picture that's in the manual?
There is a picture that's in the manual. The blue eye from last week, not from this
the
week.
really pretty lady. She's
Yeah,
very
yeah. But
yeah.
she's 53 now, and that's what she looks like. It's because she released all of this tension from her face. But before, when she was in her 30s, she was all like it was all squished and
She really
squinched.
looks like a 25-year-old woman. To me, in that picture, I thought, oh my God, she's stunning.
She is stunning. She's beautiful. But yeah, no, she just does a lot of work on herself and releases a lot of resentments and judgments and all of those thoughts that we have about other people that are really programming that's coming out of you from before.
Yeah. Oh, my thought patterns have really, I think they've taken a nosedive in the last 5 or 6 years.
It's been a challenging time.
I can see
Yes.
it on my face. It's like, oh my God.
And you know what? I don't know. Yeah, I know that people say gua sha and all that, but if you're releasing your own face, I would just put some really nice oil, maybe with some essential oil that your skin is good with, know yourself. And just massage it out, massage all the bits out. This is like there's a lot of tension in your eyebrows. There's a lot of tensions here, around in the little. Like think about all the grief. So we're holding it here and here. Our determination has been stifled. So our chin probably has some tension. If you guys just do this. Do this in the restaurant, Natalia.
I'm at Starbucks.
Oh, that's
it's
even
loud
better.
here. Anything goes.
Because it's an American restaurant, so it's fine, hey?
Yeah.
But like you can feel all the tension in those muscles right around your chin. And that's just like one tiny little part of your face. So what if you work with your fingers all around your face and like you can feel when it's too hard or too soft or whatever, you can feel where the muscles each are, you know what I mean? There's thousands of muscles, like the muscles around the lips that govern the lips. There's like whole bunch of little tiny muscles that are vertical all around the lips. And that's why when somebody has really big lips, it's just the lips coming out. And then when somebody has really small lips, it's lips coming in.
Yeah.
Right? So, yes, we'll talk about it some more in January. And next week and the week after, we're going to talk about the body and what's going on in the body.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll miss that, but I'll get the replay and make sure I've caught up before the next. Is there another one before Christmas? After
Yes.
Thank you, Agnieszka. I have to go. I have to run.
See you.
Jill. Take care.
There are, I think, 2 more in December. Let me see.
Yeah, I think. Oh, there is from memory.
11th and the 18th in December, I believe. And then the 8th in January.
Yeah.
I wanted to double check.
I'm
I wanted
really
to double
enjoying
check what I told you guys.
It's
I
in
know
the
what I
email
did.
anyway. No, I was just wondering. I can check back on the email. Yeah.
Yeah, so intro 5 chakras in the body is December 18th. And then intro 6 is January 8th.
That's great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Agni.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're most welcome. It's nice having you guys in my class. I appreciate it. You can invite your friends, tell your friends about these classes if you want. They can come, the next 3 Thursdays. We're still free. And if somebody signs up on the website, they'll get all the updates from all the last sessions as well. So they haven't missed anything.
Okay. Well, thanks very much. And
You're
have
welcome.
a good week till, well, a
Thank
couple of
you.
weeks till I see you again, but
Yeah, you won't be there. But I'll see you next week from the recording.
yeah. Okay.
Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Have a nice
coming.
day where you are.
Bye.
Bye.